Hello, Rejectville Nation.
Reject Nation.
Reject Nation. That is America these days. Greg Alba here.
John here.
We're going to watch the trailer for the Netflix reboot, A Series of Unfortunate Events.
Yeah.
Lemoney, Snicket. You remember that movie? Jim Carrey, Count Olaf.
Yeah.
That movie greatly underperformed.
Yeah, that was a bummer because I liked that movie.
I liked it too.
Time.
It was a dark, it's like 2004. It came out the same year I think the third Harry Potter movie came out.
That's a bummer.
And I just think it was a little too early. Just a few years too early. I feel like if it came out around now, I think more people probably would have been on board.
That book grabbed some traction, and people seem to read that series pretty...
I remember that movie cost like 130 or 140 million and only made like 200 million in total.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so it did not do well. I'm interested to see what Netflix does with it. I like Neil Patrick Harris.
I do too. I haven't seen this yet, but I have no reason to believe he couldn't do it.
Yeah, this is the I think it's called the Meet Count Olaf teaser trailer.
Okay.
Because I know there have been two, but let's check out this one.
Snowman.
He said specifically he was waiting very eagerly to get his hands on you.
Something strange is going on. Did you see the tattoo on his ankle? He's in disguise and he's trying to take us away.
You'll never get away with this.
He's a vile, terrible person.
He's a thief and a murderer, and so far has completely escaped capture.
Villain. Wretch. He's horrible. Awful.
You haven't the faintest idea.
All right.
Interesting.
All right. So far, the look looks like the movie.
Yeah,
I know it's based on a famous book or famous books.
Well, and I think those had illustrations, and I think they've borrowed from those too.
Yeah, because like the lighting and everything looks like, this looks exactly like what I remember the movie looking like.
Well, and I don't really think there's a reason to change. I thought the production design, especially of that movie, was fantastic. So.
Oh yeah, and it was really dark.
I love a good dark children's tale, because Harry Potter after a certain point stops being a children's tale and just becomes an epic. And I feel like there is something still youthful about A Series of Unfortunate Events, and I kind of like that this is a show now because
it's for sure a show. It's not a TV movie.
Yeah, it's in all episodes. The kinds of stories we're telling in TV show format are broadening out yet still.
Yeah.
Not that it's necessarily for children, but a dark, youth accessible sort of a show seems like a cool idea, and it seems like they're certainly putting the money up for that production value.
It's interesting when they adapt a book into a television show because usually when you start off with that, it's like, oh, this is reminiscent of the book. But then after a while, you run out of book material to cover, and then you start creating your own. So I'm wondering how long they believe they can get this going for. Something tells me Neil Patrick Harris will give a much darker interpretation of Count Olaf. Because Jim Carrey's Count Olaf was really funny, but a lot of it was just Jim Carrey being Jim Carrey. Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, I liked him in that role, I do. Because sometimes I struggle with Jim Carrey because sometimes I'm distracted by it's being Jim Carrey. And that role, I thought he kind of struck a nicer balance for my taste. But I am interested to see what NPH does with this because I feel like it will be its own character and not also Jim Carrey. That's why I had trouble with the Grinch too. Is like, you're also Jim Carrey.
And I feel like Neil Patrick Harris is great for this kind of roles. Like Neil Patrick Harris, I think does a really good job in dark roles. Mm-hmm. I mean, I recently finished Freak Show, and he had a few episodes in there where it was a very dark role. It was a magician with a fucked up past. I feel like Neil Patrick Harris, he's nowhere near like Jim Carrey in general. Yeah. Like I said, with Count Olaf, it was like, it's Jim Carrey though, just with a bunch of crazy makeup. But there's like a lot of improvised moments where you're like, this is totally Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like we're gonna get that. I feel like this time we'll get a very definitive interpretation of Count Olaf, because Neil Patrick Harris is, while he can be big personality, while he can really be expressionate, I really feel like he's definitely a little bit more grounded than the likes of Carrey.
Well, and I'm really excited to see him slip into a character, with a different look that's not just, him, too.
Yeah.
Because he's popped up in things, in dramas here and there and other stuff since How I Met Your Mother. He's always kind of Neil Patrick Harris, and so now he's got the makeup on, he's got the crazy hair. I like at least that one moment where he speaks, I like what his I guess accent or his cadence sounds like, and I'm excited to see him play a character again.
And beyond that, the production design does look really fucking good. Like, it looks like a movie. It looks like a movie. Yeah. The quality of it, I could easily, if they said like, oh, we're remaking this into a feature film. If I first saw this and if it was just a minute longer, I would have probably mistaken this to be a full-length feature film.
Yeah.
The set pieces, all the designs, the coloring, the lighting, the way it's all shot. This looks like a very appealing show.
Yeah, I really
feel
want
like this could be a great fantasy-filled fun time, and I feel like this could be something great for the fans, and it's smart to move this great concept, this huge beloved story into television format, because clearly in film it didn't do well. I mean, if you look at the numbers of a movie making a little over 200 million and you bring that to show, those are good numbers, So I can see from a marketing perspective why they believed it would work on a TV show.
And there's different stuff you can do with that. I don't know as much about how the money breaks down into TV.
I'm all about money.
Yeah, totally.
I'm all about money.
It's what makes the world go round.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really excited to see.
That's why I'm voting for Trump.
Totally make America something or other.
It's make America great again, John.
Again,
no
in what context?
Well, America's bad.
We still need to achieve certain levels of greatness.
Dude, it's all about the economy.
Yeah.
When God built this world,
the
when the world was built, He gave us nature and the economy.
Yes.
And now our American lives revolve around the two most naturalistic forms of this world, primarily the economy.
Yeah.
Not something invented by humans. That's what God gave us.
I believe that was one of the original commandments: is "Thou shalt open up a checking account." First National Bank of. That's why Jesus was so excited when all those people were trading money in the church. He flipped over a table because he was so psyched. He was like, "Oh my God, you guys, you're doing it! You're doing it! Great!"
Enough political support aside. Subscribe today, rejects, and get accepted.
Join us. Father.
And John is Reasons to Jerry on Instagram and Twitter, Facebook.com/Bloomhouse and The Real Rejects. He's the social media manager of. And outro.